Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we are doing a bingo crafting challenge quarterly check-in. I thought it might be fun to do this as a separate video so that it doesn't make my podcast even longer. And I don't have any of the projects that I'm going to talk about. Those you will just see in the podcast. But I thought I would run through, seeing as we've got to the end of the first quarter, I thought I would run through where I am with my bingo crafting challenge, and we can have a little look at what I might need to focus on going forward and things like that. If you are sitting there and going, what's she talking about? What's a bingo crafting challenge? Then maybe you are new to my channel. So I will do a little introduction. I am Helen. Hello. I have a knitting podcast here on YouTube. You are on my channel, so you will be able to find it. As part of that, I am running a year-long make-along, which is called the Bingo Crafting Challenge. And basically, you create a bingo board that looks, well, you can create your bingo boards however you want, but I have got some resources available that are linked underneath the video, and they look like this. So this is the bingo board for this year, and on that bingo board you fill in 9 crafting challenges that you would like to set yourself for the year, and you do your challenges, basically. We have chatter threads in my Discord group and also in my Ravelry group, where you can talk about your progress, what projects you're working on, chat with other people that are taking part and things like that. But at the end of the day, this is supposed to be a relaxed, chilled out make-along, and try and pick things that are not going to put too much pressure on you, but are going to be fun to work towards. Maybe things that will challenge you to think a little bit differently about your crafting, but don't say, I'm going to knit 100 socks, or, you know, it's meant to be low pressure. That is the plan. So yeah, that is the make-along. And as I said, it's a year-long make-along, so we're running it throughout the year. I will be drawing prizes at the beginning of 2026, and I will just be drawing prizes from those chatter threads. There are no kind of finished object threads as such, so you don't need to have completed your board in order to be eligible to win prizes. You just need to join in, basically. That's the whole point of it. As I said, low stress. So we've got to the end of the first quarter, which means we are a quarter of the way through the year and a quarter of the way through the challenge. So how is my bingo crafting challenge going so far? I will pop my board up here. So these are the goals that I set for myself for this year. I am glancing down every so often because I have got it on my tablet here so that I can see it as well, because obviously this is done by the power of editing and it isn't actually there. But let's have a little look and see how I'm doing with these so far. So my first square is to track my inverses out in terms of yarn. Now, this year I am only tracking yarn that I have purchased. So if I've done swaps with other dyers and things like that, then it doesn't count. It's only tracking the yarn that I have purchased. But so far for 2025, I am up 444 grams of yarn. So I have had 444 grams of yarn more, hang on. I've had 444 more grams of yarn come in than has gone out, if that makes sense. Which I'm fine with. Like, I've been to 2 big yarn shows, and it's fine. I'm hoping I will get a few bigger projects finished this year, in which case that might reduce that number slightly if I can get, say, a big blanket finished or something like that. But yeah, the point of this was never to reduce my stash. That is not what this is about. This is very much about increasing my productivity in terms of what I'm finishing to counteract the amount of yarn that is coming in. So yeah, we're sitting at a positive of 444 grams in at the moment. The next square is to finish a blanket. Now, this one could be a challenge this year. Last year I finished 2 big blankets. I finished my Cozy Memories blanket, and I also finished my, what I was calling my Mild Mayhem blanket, which was a crocheted granny square scrappy kind of blanket where I held 2 strands of fingering weight double for the whole blanket. I have a lot of blankets on the go still. I think I have at least 9 blankets currently works in progress. But the problem is that none of them are even 50% done. The 2 blankets that I finished last year were the closest ones to being finished, and none of the ones that I currently have as works in progress are anywhere near finishing. So yeah, this could be a challenge this year. I am currently working on my sweet shop blanket using my yarn mini skein club at the moment. So that could be a potential if I keep up with that. But I feel like if I really want to achieve this square, then I am going to have to put that down at some point, and I am going to need to really focus on some of the other blankets that I have got in progress that may be a little bit closer to being finished. Otherwise, this square is going to be a big challenge. Right, the next square. Finish 3 garments. Now, this one doesn't feel quite as challenging. I am currently on the sleeves of my first garment of the year, which is a lento sweater, and that is relatively close to being done. I need to pick it up. The sleeves, I will admit, I am stumbling a little bit on the sleeves, mostly because I've not been able to work them on a small circular because of the needle size that I'm needing. Because I'm using a 6.5mm needle, I've not managed to find a small circumference needle in the same size as that. Which has been a bit of a challenge and a bit of a shame. So I am having to magic loop them, which just means I'm not reaching for them as much as I would do normally. But it is one of those things that I think if I just sit down and power through them, they will get done relatively quickly. In terms of the other 2 garments, I don't have any other, well, I have a crochet cardigan on the needles, or on the hook, I guess, which has potential to maybe be one of those finished garments. But I do have quite a few other garments on the horizon. So I am looking to cast on a violet tee, which I've talked about in the most recent podcast episode. I bought some yarn for that at the Woolly Good recently. I also have yarn set aside here at the studio, which I am thinking of using for a stripy tolster. And I think I have yarn set aside for a couple of other garments. So there are lots of options and lots of possibilities. So I feel like this one's all right. It would have been nice to have had my first finished garment done in the first quarter, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling that this is still achievable. Then we have complete a cross stitch project. Now, I am currently working on the Winter Wonderland cross stitch from Caterpillar Cross Stitch, which I am really enjoying. I think I am over halfway through it at the moment, so potential to get that one finished. I am feeling, I don't know quite the phrase I want to use, itchy fingers, I guess, to start some new cross stitch projects. I've got quite a few patterns that are waiting in a little box in my craft room for me to start, and I am definitely feeling the itchy fingers to start new projects. So I can't decide whether I just start some new cross stitch projects or whether I finish the Winter Wonderland first. I want to finish the Winter Wonderland one first. That's kind of what I told myself I was going to do. I was only going to cast on, it's not the right phrase, is it? But you know what I mean. I was only going to have one active cross-stitch project going at a time. So yeah, I need to focus on the Winter Wonderland one really. But I feel like by the end of the year, that's achievable, 100%. Knit 6 pairs of socks. So far I have finished 2 pairs of socks this year, which I'm feeling good about actually. I finished my Christmas Eve cast on socks, and I also finished another pair of socks that I can't remember at all. And I am currently working on the 3rd pair of socks for the year. I have finished the first of the pair, and I just need to start and finish the second of the pair, and that will be me halfway through. So I feel like before we are halfway through the year, I should definitely be halfway through this square. So this one, again, is feeling good. gnomes. So I set myself a goal of knitting 8 gnomes this year. Part of that is because myself and Laura from the Lonely Knitter podcast here on YouTube and Folk Yarn Studios on Instagram are currently running a gnome knit along called The Friends That Grimble Together. And the idea of that is between now and October, November time, the idea is for you to knit 8 gnomes. Now, these gnomes are all patterns by Sarah Shearer of Imagined Landscape. If you've been around my channel, you will know what I'm talking about. We are talking about, oh, this one's giant, so it's not the best example, but we are talking about these fun little knitted gnomes that look a little bit like this. I have more, I can reach more. That look a little bit like this. They are patterns by Sarah Shearer of Imagined Landscapes, as I said, and they are super fun, they are super addictive, and yeah, we decided to have a knit along this year. So far I have finished 3 gnomes. I have done one every month so far, so I'm feeling really good about this. Part of me is like, can I knit a gnome a month? Sarah is running, the designer behind the gnomes, is running a year of gnomes knit along this year. And the idea with that is that you are supposed to knit one every month. I am terrible at getting my photos into the finished object threads for that. I'm not overly fussed about that aspect, but the idea of just taking part by myself also seems fun. So I am currently working on Professor Fungi, who is the mystery gnome for April. And I'm hopeful that I will have him finished by the end of the month, which will actually have me halfway through this goal. So again, another square I am feeling very good about. We're getting there. The square that you can see is currently in purple is a square that I have already completed. So one of my random picks, again, if you are new to the Bingo Crafting Challenge, this year I gave you the option of spinning on a random project or a random, I guess we'll call it a random project generator. Basically a spinning disc that you can spin and it will give you a random prompt for a type of project to take part in. I decided to have 2 squares in my board for this, and the first one I picked at the beginning of the year, and that was to finish a colourwork project. And I have done that. I knit a colourwork hat earlier in the year. I am planning more colourwork projects. I am hoping to cast on a pair of mitts relatively soon. I just want to get another project off the needles first to kind of create a bit of room in my pile of whips, basically. But yeah, that was the first one that has been fully completed off my board. I've then got complete 2 Advent projects. Now, this one, I was initially thinking was going to be a challenge, and I'm still not 100% sure whether I am going to count one of the projects, but I do currently have 2 Advent projects on the needles. I am working on, first of all, the one that will absolutely 100% count. I am working on a jigsaw puzzle shawl, which is a pattern by Stephen West. And I am using an advent calendar from Henny Penny Makes, I think it's the 2023 one, I'm not 100% sure, to make that shawl. So that absolutely 100% counts, and I am pretty sure I will have that finished easily by the end of the year. I am knitting it to take part in another knit along that I am currently running. I am co-hosting this one with the lovely Fran of Franny Do Makes, and that is the Spring Shawlathon. That is running from the beginning of April until the end of June. Again, check out the podcast. All the details and everything of that make-along are on the podcast. But I am hoping to have it done by the end of June to kind of fit in with that make-along. So that's one will 100% count. Now, when I originally came up with this square, the plan was that the projects were supposed to use indie dyed yarn advent calendars that I have sitting in stash at home. And I do have a fair few, I will admit. As a dyer, Myself, I am very fortunate that I am in a position to be able to do swaps with fellow indie dyers. I have swapped for a number of years with Erin of Henny Penny Makes. I have also swapped for the last 2 or 3 years with Laura of Folk Yarn Studios. And then I have also swapped over the years with the odd person every year. So I have swapped with Castleview Yarns in the past. Last year I swapped with Shannon from Blue Fern Yarns, and things like that. So I'm in a very fortunate position in that I'm able to do that, and that means that I do have a fair collection of advent calendars, which I haven't necessarily done anything with yet. So I wanted to complete 2 projects using those. The jigsaw puzzle that I'm working on absolutely is using one of those advent calendars, but the other project is using a random 5-gram mini skein swap that I did with a group of friends of mine. So although it is an advent project, because I am using yarn that was part of an advent calendar, I haven't decided if it counts for this square or not. So we will see. This may be one that we play by ear towards the end of the year. If I haven't finished another advent project, then maybe the cowl will count, just so I can tick off this square. But for the moment, I am a little bit unsure as to whether that will count as the second one or not. Then the final square on my board is a random pick. Now, I spun just before I sat down to record. I thought to myself, do you know what? I am going to pick my square and see what happens. I was hopeful that I might have got a project that would either be a duplicate or would be something that I could kind of work in with other projects on the board. Like maybe knit something with cables, and I could have done a cabled gnome or cabled socks or something like that, and it would have killed 2 birds with 1 stone. But no, I got potentially the square I wanted, not the square, but potentially the option I wanted the least when it came to this project spinner, and I got a new craft. So the idea behind this is that I am supposed to try out a new craft and complete a project using a new craft of some form. Now, I am a knitter, I am a crocheter, I have done some spinning in the past, so none of those are new things to me. I do cross stitch, so again, that's not a new thing for me. So I was trying to think about what I could do as a new craft to create something that would work for this square. And I came across 2 potential ideas for things that were maybe achievable, because that's the thing, it needs to be achievable. So I do have an embroidery kit from, oh, I've forgotten the name of it. Is it? I can't remember the name of it, but you'll discover this if it's what I go for in the end. I do have an embroidery kit, because I've never tried embroidery before, although I've done a lot of cross stitch over the years. Embroidery is something that I have never actually kind of picked up and given a go. So I do have that as a potential thing. I've also been tempted in the past to try a little bit of needle felting. And again, needle felting is something that it is very easy to pick up some kind of kit that comes with everything you need and instructions and all of that kind of thing to make a specific project. So they're the 2 that I am leaning towards. So yeah, let me know. What do you think? Do you think I should go embroidery? Do you think I should go needle felting? Do you have another completely different craft that you are thinking to yourself, oh, she should absolutely try this? Let me know in the comments, and we will see what my new craft is going to be, because I have all the time in the world for new crafts. But oh well. So yeah, that is where I am at so far with my bingo board. Big things to focus on, I think, is blankets. I really need to have a think about blankets. I am really enjoying my Sweet Shop blanket at the moment, and I'm enjoying actively working on one blanket at a time at the moment, and I don't really want to put that away to bring out another blanket, but I feel like if I am going to stand any chance of finishing a blanket this year, that may be what I need to do. So yeah, I need to have a big think about that. Garments, again, are something I really do need to get working on. I need to get those sleeves finished so I can get my lento finished as soon as possible, and I can have a real think about the next project that I want to get on the needles. And yeah, I feel like that's about it, actually. I feel like we are on a good, like in a good place for quarter of the way through the year of the bingo board. I think so. Anyway, we will find out. I will do another update on this at halfway through the year, so I will probably do it at the beginning of July, something like that. And it will be interesting to see what position I'm in at that point, maybe. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my little catch up. Let me know in the comments how you are getting on with your bingo board. How many squares have you ticked off? Are you enjoying it? And everything like that. And I will see you again very soon in another video. Thank you for watching. Bye.